And Merry Christmas, everybody. Can I say that? Yes, of course I can. Welcome to this very merry ho-ho-ho edition of the Brody File. You know, when it comes to the evangelical movement, you have conservatives, moderates, progressives, all with very different priorities when it comes to public policy. And the Bible, well, Scripture is quoted by all sides to make their point.
So I want to start with Genesis 8, verse 21 and 22.
Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of my brethren, you did for me.
Woe to you because you load people down with burdens they can hardly carry, and you yourselves will not lift a finger to help them.
What would Jesus do?
So now, before introducing our panel, we want to get you in the right frame of mind for this show.
Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya.
Gather round, everyone, as we do our best to sing Kumbaya and find some common ground here on the Brody File. Now our panel, who will not be singing for us, but rather impart loads of wisdom. Michael Gerson is here, former speechwriter for President George W. Bush, an op-ed columnist for the Washington Post, and the co-author of the new book, City of Man, Religion and Politics in a New Era. And Richard Land also here as well. Dr. Land is president of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, a nationally syndicated radio host, and author of the book, here's the long title, The Divided States of America, What Liberals and Conservatives Are Missing in the God and Country Shouting Match. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Good to be with you. I appreciate it. All right.
Merry Christmas.
Well, I'm glad you said it. Listen, 30 seconds or less. Good luck. Michael Gerson, how can evangelicals, from a common ground perspective, come together on public policy? Is it even possible, or should we not even be framing it that way?
Well, in the new book that I worked on, The City of Man, we try to make the case that Christians need to be careful not to be tools in somebody else's power game, whether it's the Tea Party or the religious left, okay? They have to bring a unique set of perspectives. And the basic element of that perspective is a view of human dignity, of the importance of the individual as it created in God's image, that applies to, in my view, to the unborn, to the poor in the inner city, and to the African child with AIDS in Africa. And that consistent viewpoint is the unique Christian contribution and something we should be able to rally around.
Dr. Land, what do you think?
Well, I would say ditto to that. Christianity, everywhere Christianity has gone, the plight of the common man and of individual human beings has been tremendously pushed forward and been a tremendous amount of progress. The Declaration of Independence is basically based on Judeo-Christian values. We believe that all human beings, we are all created equal, and we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, and indeed, the abortion issue, the euthanasia issue, care in the middle of life, the poor in Africa, the poor here at home, all of those are the concerns of Christians.
Let's work our way through some of these hot-button issues. We like to call it, what would Jesus do? It's an evangelical thing. First up, healthcare. Gentlemen, I want you to have a look at this ad. It's by the Progressive American Values Network. It's about healthcare.
For 8 days in August, thousands of uninsured Americans waited to receive treatment at a free health clinic. They are among the millions of Americans who wait for health care reform. They are not numbers or statistics. They are God's children, and they have a face. While the politicians bear false witness about reform, they wait.
That's part of the clip. Clearly, that resonates, I would think, among evangelicals. But then abortion tripped a lot of this debate up that we saw. What is your take as it relates to this whole healthcare and abortion debate, and healthcare maybe overall, Michael?
Well, this is a particularly good example. I mean, I think it is a Christian moral value to say that people need health care and to remind people that this is a basic issue of human rights. Mm-hmm. But that's very, very different from saying a certain policy is the best way to achieve that. Christians differed significantly on that issue. And those are not moral debates or biblical debates. They're actually policy debates. What works best? That's what actually serves people? Same was true with the welfare debate or other things. It's not just a matter of good intentions.
It's a question of what works. It's a question of, what is the prudential answer of what works.
I want to kind of move a little bit, somewhat rapid fire, through the economy. I want you to listen to conservative Ralph Reed and also the progressive Jim Wallace. They sound very similar if you listen to what they're saying about the economy and morality, greed, Wall Street. Have a listen.
If you don't have people, David, who operate according to the golden rule and according to basic internal values of right and wrong, you end up with things like the crisis on Wall Street, which was not just a fiscal crisis, let's be clear. It was also a crisis of a lot of people gaming the system, a lot of people over-leveraging in debt, violating a lot of basic biblical principles of a sound economy.
How did we get to the place where our cultural maxims are things like, greed is good, it's all about me, and I want it now? Those kinds of maxims have consequences for an economy, for a culture, for our children, for our values.
Michael Gerson, isn't this an area where it seems like progressives and evangelicals might find some common ground? Greed, corruption, Wall Street?
There's really no system so perfect that people don't need to be good. And that is an emphasis Christians need to bring on capitalism. Free markets are the best way to organize a productive society that rewards effort and enterprise. I completely agree with that. But even free markets can fail if individuals don't have the values that make them possible.
But the capitalists are sinful too. Capitalists are greedy too. So you have to have a system of checks and balances, and you have to reward morality and punish immorality.
Let me ask you about poverty real quick. You know, we hear so much about this fight against poverty, but conservatives really don't make this an issue as much as the progressives do, at least. And you would think we would be overall assistance to poor people to help them out a little bit, but then government intervention gets involved a little bit. So let me play a clip from David Beckman, the president of the Bread for World, who talked about government intervention. Take a listen to this.
Churches and charities can't do it all. We can't food bank our way to the end of hunger. So food banking, helping our neighbor in need, that is really important. But we've also got to get our powerful government to do its part. I have yet to meet a voter, I have yet to meet a politician who says, you know, I don't care about hungry kids. We all do. So there are some things that we can do so we don't have 1 in 4 kids in this country running out of food. The binding constraint is will, political will especially, to reduce hunger and poverty. And I think that political will can come out of the hearts of people who've experienced God's love in Jesus.
I think the most creative public policy is for government, instead of providing those services themselves through bureaucracies, to find ways to empower individuals and communities to provide those services. That's kind of a middle ground in this debate. You can hurt with the helping hand. It's really possible. That's why you need good policies, creative policies in this area, but you do need public responses.
I want to take a quick break. We're going to talk about immigration when we come back, but also a look at President Obama's relationship with evangelicals, or lack thereof. Also a look at how the faith-based office is doing under President Obama. Back in a moment.